So tonight, Stefan Reingold will give a speech entitled Rethinking Wellbeing. Most countries measure their well-being using the gross national product. Stephen will like to share with us an alternative mechanism for measuring well-being that considers individual and collective well-being. He has been a long-term Toastmaster, past president of his club, 777 Toastmasters, and an auditor with the provincial government. Please help me welcome Stephen.
Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me? And
yes, we can hear you.
Can hear me? Great. Thanks very much, everyone. Thank Amin for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight, and look forward to your comments after my speech. Yes, as was mentioned during the introduction, most countries use the GNP or GDP, gross national product or gross domestic product, to measure economic growth, prosperity, and well-being. If I recall from my economic studies, it basically consists of, it's a pretty simple formula, but there's a lot of components. It's consumption, so basically what you and I and everyone in Canada consumes, investment spending, government spending, and the net of exports minus imports. So while it's been a pretty good measure of economic well-being around the world for many decades, I started to wonder, does it really measure how well each being is doing? So in other words, it measures well-being of each country well, but does it really measure how well is each being doing? So I decided, as a former economics major and a current government employee and public servant, if there's any countries that are measuring their well-being differently. And in my search, I came across the Kingdom of Bhutan. I don't know too much about the Kingdom of Bhutan, but what I do know is in 1972, they turned measuring well-being and being well on its head by creating the GNH, gross national happiness. This is actually their measure of economic well-being and, like I said, being well. The kingdom measures well-being on the basis of basically four things: sustainable and equitable socioeconomic development, environmental conservation, preservation and promotion of culture, and good governance. In the BBC article I came across that talked about this method that the Kingdom of Bhutan has been using since, I guess, almost 40 years now, one of the locals described gross national happiness in this way. He said, one does not have to go to extremes to find happiness and peace. He basically described it this way. He said there are four pillars that can be embraced by anyone, anytime, to enhance one's own well-being. These are loving kindness, compassion, non-attachment, and karma. And I just want to spend a little bit of time explaining what these mean, or my understanding of these things. The loving kindness is kindness that you have for yourself and for others and for nature. And this relates to their measure of economic and environmental considerations in calculating the GNH. So it's kindness and love towards yourself, towards others. And it's only once you have this loving kindness that you can have compassion for others. That's the second component of the GNH, or the second component of or second pillar rather, of the four pillars of well-being. The third pillar, it's a complicated concept. It's called non-attachment. I know some religions follow this, or many cultures around the world. Non-attachment means you are not the job, the career, the wealth, or the income that you earn or have. You're not defined by the possessions. You are you. You are a product of this world. Though any of these things can be taken away from you, but that doesn't mean you should become unhappy. Your well-being is preserved. You're not, it's by embracing this concept of non-attachment to things that define that society in North America and most, I guess, first world, second world countries define us by. We're all defined as, I'm an auditor, I'm a Toastmaster, but when I'm not really an auditor. I wasn't born an auditor. I wasn't born a Toastmaster. I was born a human being. I was born to try to absorb and enjoy, get the most out of life. And the fourth concept is again, it's a difficult concept for me to understand, is karma. This is the fourth pillar that the one of the locals define as the element of overall well-being. But the way I understand, most people understand karma as something you get. I have bad karma. I'm going to get bad karma for saying about my wife or husband or whatever it is. But it's looked at differently in the Kingdom of Bhutan. It's sort of what you are is what you get. And the example in the article was, if you want to have a mango tree, you plant a mango seed. You don't plant a tomato seed. It also relates to, you get out of life what you put into it. You can create what it is you want, but you need to plant the seeds in order to get it. It's not going to come to you just because you hope for it. You need to plant the seeds. Like I said, if you want a mango tree, you got to start planting the mango seeds. You got to start watering it. You got to look after it. Same with all other aspects of life. So in short, again, I thank everyone for the opportunity, for giving me this chance to speak about this topic, which I find really interesting, this topic of well-being and being well. It was, again, a BBC article. I'm happy to share it with everyone. You could probably search for it on Google or bbc.com under Bhutan well-being or something like that. It's just interesting, and just hope that I've given you a different way of thinking about being well and well-being. Thank you very much, and I look forward to our discussion follow.